Welcome. I'm excited to have you here joining me. I wanted to do another live video where we could just take some time to prepare for 2025. Most people don't start thinking about it till the new year comes, and I think we all know that most people are great at starting strong, but most of us don't finish well, and when things get difficult, it's hard to continue on. And so one of the things I would like to work on today is just taking time to dream. I realized as we were kind of doing the planning video last week that, talking about goals and different things, that a lot of you may not have even taken the time to sit down and imagine what a great year could be for you and what your dreams are. And maybe you've got them scattered. And so honestly, I just wanted to take maybe a half an hour. I'll share a few things here to get going and kind of my process, and then we'll just make space. I've got some music playing, and I've got a nice hot cup of tea. If you've noticed, I like to drink tea late in the day. Definitely coffee's in the morning, but I don't do a lot of videos in the morning. So I just invite you to get a hot drink with me and make this interactive rather than just a video that you watch or see my process. It's not so much about me sharing exactly what I'm doing or the perfect way to do it, but it's actually time to just carve out space for you to do this with me and to do it experientially, because that's where change happens. It's when you stop just watching and listening to other people and you start doing things for yourself. But just to take a moment to kind of calibrate, I thought I'd just share what my day was like, how I showed up in this space. It's a few hours later than I had planned. In fact, I'm actually kind of glad I didn't schedule something. My original intention was to schedule something earlier today, but by virtue of some spontaneous invitations, or I don't know how you say that, desperation. Honestly, I feel like my last 24 hours has been totally turned upside down, but I got to be part of a small team of people that helped a young gal who's been on heroin, and I think it was Suboxone, and has been addicted to that probably for the last 2 years, 20 years old, this beautiful, young, frail, tiny little gal, enter an incredible women's recovery program. And so between last night and this afternoon, about 2 hours or less than 2 hours ago, everything was finalized. Very spur of the moment. It all happened super quick, but we were able to, just by loving on this young gal, invite her into a life change and help her see what was possible. And honestly, I think that's kind of what this is. It's how can you plan a life change if you can't even begin to dream or see what's possible? And what was really sweet about this whole thing is when I was invited to talk with her and share and tell her a little bit about this program that I knew of connected with our church. As I told her where the property was and how gorgeous and the setting, the location on a few hundred acres, and the horses and the barn nearby that she'd be able to walk to, and the little bit I did know about this recovery program, it was so beautiful because her eyes lit up. And I think it was the hook, the horses, the barn, that there were fields nearby, that it wasn't just inside in the middle of a city, or what most people might think of as a recovery program. But she got a vision, and it planted a seed of a dream of where she could be for the next season of her life as she got back on track and could become the person that she wanted to be. And so as things played out, we did later this afternoon when we actually took her there. That was the first place we toured her and showed her the rest of the property before taking her to have her intake. And to talk with the team and see if it was going to be a fit for them and a fit for the other women and a fit for this gal. And in the end, it was all decided that yes, it was the right time and the right place, and she gets to do that. And so I feel like I've kind of been choked up all day. Pretty emotional, pretty amazing to be part of that and to see someone, another individual that my husband and I have spent almost a year investing in, loving on, adopting into our family, be one of the key individuals making this happen. And just amazing to see the chain reaction of how love can change people's lives and how showing people hope and what faith, I mean, kind of the cornerstone of Christianity, I guess, faith, hope, and love. And so today, in this short amount of time, I really just want to be somebody that is saying, hey, there's great things in store for you. There's amazing things that you were made for, but it's not just going to happen. Life doesn't just happen. This is your life. You're the one who writes the book. You're the one who you're the one who is the author, and this is your chance to write a best-selling novel. This is your chance to write the great adventure or the great romance or the greatest comedy. Hopefully not a tragedy. We don't want that. But if you could write your life as a movie, you know, what are your favorite blockbuster movies? What is it about those movies that you love? And where would you imagine yourself? And I look back at so much of what I've done in life, and it's because I sat down and I took time to dream. And I wrote bucket lists. You know, this is a journal my husband recently gave. I showed this before in another video, but I'm still filling out some of the pages, honestly. But in other seasons of life, I've had different sticky notes through the years and bucket lists and, you know, just, in fact, in this particular book, I've been going back. For example, I could show you a few. I guess we could get a little personal here. I had never written 100 on my bucket list, but I realized that a lot of the things that I had put on my bucket list when I was 15 or 20 years old are things that have come true. And so I had things on here, one of my things that I declared that I was going to do and who I was going to be that get to be added. And so it's been fun kind of going back in this journal and actually writing down the things that I said I was going to do, and then a little bit of the context, because each of these are written almost like a journal entries. You know, what was it you did, why it was on your bucket list, where you were, who you were with, some of the details and what you felt, and would you do it again? But, you know, for me, it was one of the things was going skydiving, graduating from college, doing a 3-month mountaineering semester course. I did one called Yamnuska in the Canadian Rockies, and had learned how to do rock climbing and ice climbing and ski mountaineering and wilderness first aid and many other things. I had some poems that are epic poems that I wanted to learn to recite. I'm not going to tell you which ones those are, because maybe one day I'll take a few minutes and do that here. I wanted to go to all 50 states, and I did that on my, I think by the time I was 32, I think I hit my, it was right before I got married, and maybe 33, and ironically we're looking to do a little trip shortly and hoping to add some states to our boys so that they also can be checking some off. I think they're at close to 41 maybe states, 41 states. Anyway, you know, along the way I wanted to be an entrepreneur, become an entrepreneur, give away a vehicle, have children, get married, not necessarily in that order. I'd wanted to have a home birth and homeschool our kids, and along the way sell a business and become a U.S. citizen. That was something, even though it was my birthright, I had to fight for, and another story for another time. But I had dreams of paddling the Yukon River. Got to do that years ago, and become a wilderness EMT. That was something I wanted to not only be a wilderness, have my wilderness first aid training, but take that to another level, similar to like just below a paramedic basically. But and then I wanted to sail the Inside Passage, which is a passage from like Bellingham, Washington, north of Seattle, all the way up to um, Skagway and Haines. I think Skagway's in, oh my gosh, I forget, Skagway, Haines, Alaska, but it's all up the western coast of British Columbia and the Alaskan Panhandle. And anyway, there's many other things in here and some other adventures. Obviously, I'm drawn to adventures, so my I've got some wax on the table from a candle I had out. Anyway, I've always been drawn to adventures, so when I think of creating my dream life, it includes a lot of adventure, and that's something I live for and love. But anyway, enough about that. This is not just about my story or what I've done. I just want to create a space. If we're going to take this to the next level, which I would like to do over the next few weeks, then it's a process. Then it's not just, achieving your dreams isn't just something magical that happens. You have to do something I like to call visioneering. It has to be really interactive. You have to get a lay of the land. You have to chart your course. And if you want to achieve those dreams, it requires periodic reassessment. And so, this isn't necessarily, I build it as 2025, but my question is really like, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And, maybe even what you want to have. But if you were to create a bucket list, maybe today we just start with something like, what are 10 things, if you were to add to your bucket, a bucket list or create one for the first time, what would they be? Or if you have a bucket list, what are 10 more things that you would add to that, of things that you would like to do or be, maybe even have, and then we can go from there, or just add to it. And so let's take the next, I'm not sure exactly the time. I've lost where all that information is displayed because I'm still new to this. Let's take 15 minutes to just sit and do that. And then over the next few weeks, we can begin to chart a course for that. So I just invite you to just listen to some music. I'll turn it up a little bit. I'm just going to drink my tea. And let's just take time to dream and imagine the life that you want to live, because everything has to start in the realm of dreams before we can even move into things like goals. And you can have goals, but they're not even connected to your dreams. But your dream is really that vision of who you want to be and where you want to end up in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And then we can reverse engineer that, and we can look at what it's going to take, because goals by themselves are pretty fruitless, and almost nobody keeps their New Year's resolutions or those goals, because that's just not understanding human behavior and science. But if you can learn how to build habits or mini habits to even jumpstart and prime start that, prime the engine, whatever, prime the situation, it can take you to a whole nother level. And I'm living proof of that. And I have other stories we can share. But all right, let's turn the music up, and we'll just take time to really just jot some of those dreams. And really, if you have nowhere else, no other way to start, if you haven't done something like this, again, just start with creating that bucket list. So, and it can be really simple. It can literally be on sticky notes. I live by these things. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be on the back of a receipt. That could become one of the best things in your life years later that you'll want to frame. So it doesn't have to be anything amazing. It becomes special because that's the story you write from where you are now. All right, let's do this. I've written, I don't know how many that was. I think I got about 13 in there. Some of these I've been talking about for the last year or two, but hadn't actually written down, honestly. I'll share a few of the ones I wrote. You might have heard me mention this before on this channel, but one of the things I have been wanting to do, and I decided I was playing a little small, so I upped it, but I've been talking about wanting to help 100 people give away $1 million, and I decided I want to make that 300. There's something about that number 300 that I love. It seems like a small, mini, incredible army. Think of I think there was a movie about the 300 fighting warriors ages ago. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe it was called 300. But in the Bible, there's also stories of Gideon and an army of 300 and just what 300 people can do united to do something. And so that's this channel. The Power to Get Wealth is not about just becoming wealthy or filthy rich. It's about learning how to create wealth, having more than enough for what you need and your family's needs are, and enjoying that abundance, but radical generosity. And so one of the intentions I've wanted to do is help keep that at the forefront. And because my husband and I have wanted to give away millions of dollars, but helping others too. So that was more than I probably needed to say. But I've also had the dream for years about starting a movie production company. And I've had the name for it for about 12 or 14 years. I can't tell you what that is, but I have had the logo in my mind for years and years and years, and it always seemed kind of a stretch. But I don't know, now that I'm doing videos and more like this, it's definitely to think of doing more video production is seeming like it's nearer in my reach. A couple other ones. My husband and I have been talking about doing more regular dates and date nights. I think since our kids were little, it was definitely more of a challenge. And where we lived, we didn't have a lot of family supporting us. But in this season, that's something we've been talking about, really cultivating our marriage. And then last, one of the things I would love to do is we've been talking about maybe secretly, and I've only just started talking with my family about it, but I'm hoping to do a bit of a family reunion with my family in Canada and my siblings and their kids, and maybe finding a way to all do some vacation or something like that together. So that's something I've wanted to add to my bucket list for a little while. So those are a few of the things that I just sparked me here. Not all of these things are what we need to necessarily put into building out our strategy and whatnot, but this is one way to begin to kind of prime the pump and to get you start thinking about who you want to be and what you want to do in life. And I hope taking some time in real life here live with me is worth it and valuable. And whether or not you ever come across my video again or remember me, you'll have those things written on a sticky note or written on a receipt or maybe a beautiful piece of paper in your journal. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. I hope you'll stick around, though. We have some really exciting things happening, looking to build some community where we can take the people that have been the ones that are invested in this process and watching some of these videos and want to really take things up a notch and connect and be able to do stuff in real time in person with other Christians that are or people that are really interested in the spiritual facet of money. We're working on building out a community group where we can actually set up meetups and plan retreats and do things real time, dinner parties, things like that, where my husband and I are traveling and maybe meet up at different restaurants or something like that and just share in small groups. So if you have any interest in maybe being in that, having access to that information or being part of that, just stay tuned. We're pulling that together. So thank you. I hope the rest of your evening and weekend is blessed. I'll see you again next time.